Today, we're going to talk about the world of OSINT, or open source intelligence, and how it can really help boost your skills as a cyber practitioner, whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out. To better understand what OSINT is, let's take a look at how a military commander begins a campaign. First, he starts off by conducting reconnaissance and gathering intel. He'll then send out spies to collect as much info on the enemy's strength and disposition. If he's really smart, he might also do the reverse and use the same scouts to recon his own forces to understand what kind of information the enemy might be able to gather on him. In the cyber world, it's no different. Building situational awareness is crucial to success, whether you're doing digital investigations, red or blue team operations, or looking for a place to start in the world of cybersecurity. And OSINT is one of the most accessible and low-cost ways to do this. In this video, we'll go through a conceptual overview of OSINT, how it can benefit your skills as a cyber professional, and some great resources out there to start with. So back in World War II, the United States had an intelligence department called the Office of Strategic Services, or OSS, which was a precursor to the CIA. The OSS had an entire research and analysis branch dedicated to open source intelligence. They collected newspapers, journals, press clippings, and radio broadcast reports from all over the world just to hunt down photos or articles that might give away crucial intelligence about the enemy. From bomb craters to new aircraft or battleships, these bits of data, once pieced together, could be used to assess an enemy or to verify other sources of intel. But today, just about everybody uses OSINT for different purposes. Journalists writing news reports, cyber criminals looking to scam people, students in academia working on research projects, employers scoping out job candidates, law enforcement working on crime cases, and much, much more. For example, in 2015, the US Air Force was able to launch a strike against an ISIS headquarters building within 24 hours of a fighter posting a selfie of himself on social media. Back in the old days, the challenge of OSINT was in gathering enough information. In today's world though, we're drowning in it, and the challenge lies in processing and analyzing everything. The sources of data are tremendous, covering everything from satellite or street-level imagery, public court records, social media posts, videos, forum threads, news articles, data leaks, website history, IP registration data, and many more. Generally, there's two ways to gather data and information: active and passive. Active collection puts the researcher in direct contact with a target. This might mean physically traveling somewhere, talking with someone, dumpster diving, or scanning a system for vulnerabilities. While these results can be very accurate, there's a higher risk of detection because of your direct involvement. It also tends to be narrowly scoped and may miss out on the bigger picture. Passive collection, on the other hand, focuses more on quiet observation of data that's generated by a target. Studying maps, listening to someone's conversation, or finding vulnerabilities by fingerprinting a device based on its network traffic are all passive techniques. OSINT largely falls under the passive category since it can almost be done from the comfort of your chair. You can also remain anonymous provided you're practicing good OPSEC, such as using virtual machines, VPNs, research accounts, and Tor. The downside to passive collection is that it requires more involved analysis and may not provide the same quality of intelligence as active collection. Let's say you went on vacation to Japan and I wanted to learn more about the trip. While it might be easier to ask you how it went, you might think I'm being nosy and not want to share much. But by turning to open source intelligence, I could gather the photos you post on Facebook of the trip and geolocate them to see where you went. To find out harder questions like why you went to those places, I might have to do some map recon or spend time studying your Twitter account or blog to get some contextual clues about your choices and thought processes. There's actually a third collection method we'll call semi-passive that falls somewhere between the previous two. This involves leveraging a third-party service's active collection measures to perform passive analysis. For example, one of my favorite tools is a site called urlscan.io, made by the threat intelligence expert Johannes Gilger. URLscan lets you input a target URL, like maybe a suspected phishing link, and the service will provide you with detailed analysis about the website by visiting it on your behalf, or presenting you the scan results performed by someone else. It's a kind of in between the active and passive techniques, but can also be considered OSINT. There are also many services that require you to pay for access to premium databases that aren't publicly available because they source information in a variety of ways. There's a controversial company called Clearview AI that scrapes search engines and social media platforms for images of people's faces, building a private facial recognition database for clients to access. While some people might not consider private databases to be pure OSINT because they're not free, others might consider them fair game and be considered a semi-passive research method. Now, with all this in mind, we're going to talk about the two most important concepts in OSINT: identifiers and pivoting. Identifiers are unique keywords, tokens, or artifacts that describe a piece of data. Some examples include name, email, birthday, IP address, MAC address, phone number, geocoordinates, home address, license plate timeframe, picture, Bitcoin address, password hash, hostname, operating system, social media handle, relationships, occupation, social media username, hobbies, hacker handle, credit card number, search query, or website. You get the idea. These identifiers might exist across many different datasets scattered across the internet. When you're conducting OSINT research, you may only have one or two identifiers available to work with. Just searching for information based on a couple of them might not give you the best intelligence. The real OSINT magic comes from pivoting, which is searching for the same identifier in different datasets to correlate and discover new identifiers about a research target. For instance, a photo might contain a unique landmark that you can discover using Google Street View or Mapillary that leads you to a house. Searching for the address on public county records can reveal the owner's name, which can then be used to discover social media accounts and email addresses. In this case, we've pivoted from a photo to an email address. In other cases, you may want to pivot in the opposite direction, which requires you to possibly chain identifiers using different types of open source data. For a more formalized approach, the RAND Corporation came out with a great paper talking about open source intelligence, link in the description below. They break down the OSINT lifecycle into 4 stages: collection, processing, exploitation, and production. The collection stage involves acquiring and storing data from a variety of sources. In many cases, it's not practical for individuals to hoard terabytes of data, so this step might involve just signing up for accounts and building API keys to query services that do store the data. Speaking of services, a great one out there is intelx.io. Built by the Austrian security professional, Peter Kleissner. IntelX scrapes pastebin and many other sources from the darknet for breach data and other types of information. They also host a bunch of useful third-party search tools for identifiers. You should definitely check out IntelX, since it's a great way to find different identifiers that normal search engines won't show. Now, the next stage is processing, which may involve translating results or normalizing them into a common format for collaboration. There's Google Translate and a bunch of project management tools out there that will come in handy at this step. The exploitation stage involves connecting the dots between identifiers and analyzing results in a broader context. A great tool to use here is Multigo, which lets you perform graph analysis between different identifiers, almost like a digital version of a detective's evidence board. You can also use Hunchly, which is a web capture tool that automatically saves pages you visited before to preserve a trail during an OSINT deep dive or investigation. It's made by the security researcher and OSINT wizard, Justin Seitz, who's also the author of Gray Hat and Black Hat Python. One OSINT pitfall is that not all sources of information are equally valid, since some might contain bias or have questionable origins. Authenticating the credibility of data at this stage is an important but often overlooked part of OSINT. The last stage is production, which involves consolidating your findings into a useful report and then sharing it with others. If you're just starting out in cybersecurity, practicing your open source intelligence gathering skills is a fantastic way to dip your toes into the field, since it's something that doesn't require heavy technical knowledge or programming skills to learn. OSINT is naturally research-oriented, which helps you develop the virtues of persistence and curiosity, personality traits that are essential for being successful in cyber. If you know how to use Google Search, start learning some of the more advanced search operators available. Esteban Borges, a cyber researcher at Security Trails, wrote a great article on using Google dorking to find sensitive information and potential vulnerabilities indexed online. Link in the description below. Start with a mini OSINT project, such as trying to find as much personal information on yourself or your family. Try different tools to make the process easier and automated. Now, if you work as a penetration tester or red teamer, OSINT is one of the first methods you should turn to when performing reconnaissance on a client. Companies are made up of people with a well-defined hierarchy you can uncover with formal and informal relationships between them. You should build out clear profiles that include identifiers, interests, and habits, because these can uncover clues to weaknesses for exploitation. You may find someone habitually recycles passwords, some of which already exist in breach dumps, or have the answers to their account security questions scattered across the internet. The right amount of due diligence on people allows you to craft more credible and trustworthy social engineering pretexts or phishing emails. For more technical targets like servers, good OSINT can let you map out a company's external-facing infrastructure, or even uncover clues about its internal posture and security policies. If you're on a blue team, doing the exact same thing can paint a better picture of what adversaries might have already researched using OSINT and possible attack channels they might use. The amount of tools and resources out there simply go on and on, but there's 3 that I think are worth mentioning when it comes to learning more about OSINT and cybersecurity. The first is a book called Hunting Cyber Criminals, which is written by the daring Vinnie Troia, who single-handedly tracked black hat criminals across the internet and shares his tradecraft and process in this book. The next is a podcast called The Privacy, Security, and OSINT Show, hosted by Michael Bazell, one of the foremost experts when it comes to helping celebrities, billionaires, and everyday folks to disappear and find some peace of mind. His expertise in cyber investigations is world-class and is a must-follow. The last resource I want to share is a website called bellingcat.com, which is full of articles, guides, and case studies showcasing real-world OSINT investigations. Check out Vinny, Michael, and Bellingcat as 3 places to get started on your journey to becoming an OSINT pro. So that's it for this video on open source intelligence. There's simply far too much information out there to cover OSINT in just one video, but really hope you found this overview as a helpful start to share with others you know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.